Welcome back, everybody. Thought I'd do just a quick video. It's not going to be so quick, actually. Probably going to spend a little more time on this one, so hang with me though. We got some real interesting firearms to go through here. These are all SKS variants. Each one is a little bit different. Some are very similar. So let's get started. Right off the bat, the first one I got is probably one of the most common you'll see. This is my commercial SKS. It's an Norinco version. If I remember right, the factory is 146, it looks like, on it. Nothing special, it is all numbers matching. I bought this. It's got a little, just a slip-on butt pad. See, they all have the toolkit in the butt stock. Every one of them has that, so we won't get too carried away with some of that stuff. But it is all numbers matching, commercial made. I bought this firearm, I don't know, 30 years ago, straight out of the box, brand new, unfired. Still in that condition, excellent condition, as you can see. But I don't know how many rounds have been through this firearm. I wouldn't care to even guess. When I bought it, I think it was like $130, and that included a case of 300 or plus rounds of ammunition. 7.62 by 39. So that's a fairly common spike bayonet version that you're going to see, the commercial grade SKS shellac finish. But this one is unique in that it was brand new, unfired, and it's not unfired anymore. Got a lot of rounds through it. Now give me a minute and we'll swap out the next variation I have here. This is another Chinese. These are, I've only got one Russian firearm. This is a it's a little late for a Sino-Soviet firearm, but again, it's not a Norinco, but it is a Chinese variant. This is prior to the Norinco firearms. Factory 26, common military designation factory. These are datable. This one's from the 60s. As you can see, one of the big differences, this one being an earlier one, does have a blade bayonet and the nice dark, extremely dark stock on it. This one is numbers matching also, except for the stock. The stock is the only number that does not match. You can see the side sling on it, compared to the first one, which had the sling swivel mounted below the stock. This one's on the side. So very nice military version with a nicer than average stock. I might point out that the blade is a Soviet blade, a Russian blade on it. It has a Russian, I believe it's Izvek marking on it. And I wouldn't be surprised if, I don't know, if these early stocks that are dark like this seem to be Russian also. So another very interesting variation. I'm just going to lay this one on the table so you can get a quick full view of it. Next, I will pull out this one you have seen before in previous videos. This is a Russian SKS. This is the only Russian model I have. This is an all numbers matching re-arsenal. You can see the Tula Star, 1951 date on it. Again, blade bayonet. And beautiful dark reddish brown Russian stock. One of my favorite of the SKS variants, and I've done a video on this one previously. If you wanted to look that up, you can. Again, it does have the cleaning kit. It's not in here right now. It's actually in the box. This came with the box, the oiler, and all the accessories. Lay that one out for a nice full view of it. Now, let's get into some of the more oddball configurations that you're going to see. This is an SKS D, and you see it's got the spike bayonet on it. Exceptionally nice condition. Probably seems to be unfired. I do not have the box for it, but I do have the accessories for it. Now the D accepts AK magazines. They've been modified at the factory for commercial export. And again, it's got the sling on the bottom, just as the Russian one did. So these were factory made conversions. You see several variations on these different. Sometimes the stripper clip slot is not there. Some of them, they have bolt hole opens that are kind of makeshift looking. This one still has it, even though you can't use that because it does have a magazine. This is an original 10 round, or I believe this might even be a 5 round magazine. Kind of an awkward angle there, but it's a Chinese magazine, flat back. By flat back, I mean there's no seam on it. A lot of people complain that they're somewhat unreliable, difficult to manage. But that one is extremely workable condition. It works just fine. With it, as I said, this is the typical accessories that you'll see with these, if you can find one in good condition with its accessories. A Chinese oil bottle, the bag itself, of course, see the markings on it, and then these are all Chinese magazines that came with it also. Again, they are very high quality and somewhat sought out magazines. Again, they are the flat back, no seam on them. And use this as identification on them. I should do a video on identifying AK magazines, their country of origin. You can see how nicely that snapped right into place, no problem whatsoever. As long as you've got good quality Chinese magazines, they will fit just fine in this firearm. Unique feature on this firearm is the bayonet. It's a proprietary bayonet. This is just not a normal spike bayonet. Because as you can see, it's riveted into place. And the way it is removed is pulled down, and then there's, if you can see closely, if I can quit hitting the camera, you can see there's a slot in there, and that allows it to actually be lifted up and off. So that is a unique feature to the D-type SKS. Not something you're going to see in the wild very much anymore. A lot of these have been bought up by collectors. Local firearm shop got this in, and he brought it out and said, "Do you know anything about these?" I said, "Sure, I'll buy it from you." You can see the excellent condition on it. And as long as you have good magazines, particularly I would put Chinese magazines in it, I've never seen any problems with any of those magazines. As you could see, it operated very, very well. So there's a another Chinese variant, the SKS-D. I've got one more variant. Now this one is called the SKS Hunter. I believe the more often you will see them called the Para Hunter, where they have a shortened barrel. This one has a full-length barrel, being just the Hunter. K Sports, or KSI, was the importer of these, and it's a factory-done modification to them. But what was done with these, what makes this one unique, you can see again it's got an older stock, exceptionally good condition. Numbers matching again, except for the stock side mounted sling swivel. And then we get here, and you see a rail on the side of this firearm. Now this is not the rail that is attached to the firearm. The rail that is attached to the firearm is underneath this one. It's riveted to it. But this is a way to, they call those the rail to nowhere. Let me explain that first. Because there was never a mount made for that rail on these Hunters. Now if you could find a Cowboy Companion mount, there was rails also applied to those, and those rails could be modified to fit these. However, I could not find one, so what I did is I went to Molot in Russia, and they actually provide a mount that is almost a perfect fit for that. And you can see the set screws that hold it in place for the Hunter versions. They're listed for use with the Cowboy Companion, but it was a perfect fit on this, slid right into place. Let me move the D real quick here, and I'll grab the scope. The problem is, oftentimes with these, is that the scope is a little, if you've got an AK scope, such as we have here, I'll break that out in a moment. That's a Russian scope. It will not fit. Well, it fits, but it's way too high. Well, let me demonstrate. Exactly what I'm talking about on that. This is a Russian, very nice PSOP scope on a, it fits perfectly on an AK platform firearm. It also fits perfectly on this rail. However, if I slide it onto place here, you can see the extreme height over the comb. It's exceptionally high. Way unusable. Absolutely no way that could be used on this firearm. So what I had to do in order to come up with a solution to that was go to a Molot again in Russia. There is a distributor, Kalinka, for these parts, and I found a low mount. These are actually designed for the SKS or Mosin Nagants if you have a AK side rail on them. But this is a low Picatinny mount made for the as I said, the higher mounted rails on firearms. It will not fit on an AK platform. The rail would fit, but the mount is way too low to clear the top cover. But as you can see, I've got a red dot on there right now. I believe that's a Vortex red dot. You can see it's at a very good height. Now I do have a strap-on cheek riser for this firearm, so that makes it even more usable with other and also a scope with low, very low, such as Leupold low mount rings. They're exceptionally low, would fit just fine with this one. So the last thing on this firearm is the bayonet, the lack of a bayonet. You notice that. And the reason is these were all neutered from the factory to take the bayonet off of it. The Para models, the ones I've seen, have this bayonet slot filled with wood. On the longer, the rifle length, even though they are all carbines, this with the Para version being about 4 to 6 inches shorter, even though it comes with a cleaning rod, kind of sloppy without the bayonet, but they left this slot open on the rifles. So again, it's an earlier Chinese stock with the side mount sling. There's another look at that Molot rail on top of the usual rail, called the Hunter or the Para Hunter, and there was another importer called the Cowboy Companion. I believe it might have been CSI that did this. This was K Sports. So there we have it, the K Sports Hunter. Well, that's the last of the SKS variants I have. That was one of my virus lockdown rifles, getting the scope rail to fit. Mail is moving pretty slow, so it took a while to get the parts in. As I said, that's a USA company, Kalinka Optics, that carries these optics. Excellent to find unusual Russian parts that you might need. So there's a fun look at the SKS collection, and stay tuned. We'll have some more interesting videos.